Coming up on Valley View News, Los Angeles offers COVID-19 vaccines to everyone age 16 and older. Plus, a White Lives Matter rally in Huntington Beach was met by counter-protests from the Black Lives Matter movement. And the nonprofit called Good Karma LA is helping to feed the homeless.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Lisette Ceja.
And I'm Savannah Birchfield in the Digital Media Center.
Even as conditions continue to improve, the COVID-19 death toll in California now exceeds 60,000. This number represents 10.7% of COVID deaths nationwide. Recently, the state was recording over 100 deaths per day, down from more than 500 deaths per day in January. The state's low-income Latino community saw disproportionately high numbers of deaths. LA County recorded 232 deaths for every 100,000 residents. The number of patients hospitalized in LA County also dropped nearly 28% from 2 weeks ago.
The New York Times is reporting that more than 62 million Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccines need to be checked for contamination in the U.S. This comes after a Maryland manufacturing plant ruined 15 million doses by accidentally mixing up the ingredients. 3 of their other vaccination sites have also temporarily stopped administering the vaccine. Over 40 people have experienced minor adverse reactions, including nausea, dizziness, fainting, and lightheadedness. European regulators have also announced that they are investigating this shot for links to unusual blood clotting. Most of the negative reactions occur within the first 15 minutes after a person gets the shot.
Anyone 16 and older in LA County can now get vaccinated for COVID-19. Appointments are available at city-run vaccination sites. The Pfizer vaccine is the only one being offered. You need to show a valid ID and be a resident of LA County. The city-run sites are open Tuesday through Saturday. Several other counties are also vaccinating those 16 and older, including Riverside, San Bernardino, and Kern.
In an effort to get kids back to school, LAUSD launched 25 vaccine centers. Lincoln High School in Lincoln Heights was the first to open. Our reporter Kimberly Lopez was there.
LAUSD is opening up 25 community vaccine centers. One of the first opened Tuesday at Lincoln High School in Lincoln Heights.
The problem of having enough space to do vaccines.
Jim Manja, director of St. John's Well Child and Family Center, says they're spreading the word in order to get the community vaccinated.
A lot of the outreach has been very targeted. So LAUSD is doing outreach to their parents.
That's the time that we need to keep them under observation.
A lot of people came to get vaccinated. George and Yoli Garcia are parents and members of the El Sereno Historical Society. They say they also want to help get the word out to the community.
Let them know that this is here and that it's right next door to them and that it's available for them to use today.
So now we can go back and let them know how easy it is.
LAUSD Superintendent Austin Butner also stopped by. These vaccine centers target the Latino and African American communities. That's where providing protection from COVID-19 is especially crucial. Butner says the main goal is to get kids back to school.
Vaccinate the adult, vaccinate the family member, vaccinate grandma at home, and the child comes back to school.
LAUSD plans to open up 61 schools in the upcoming week, including elementary schools and children daycare. Reporting from Lincoln Heights, I'm Kimberly Lopez, Valley View News.
Many colleges will soon require students get vaccinated, but some people are opposed to the idea. Nevertheless, in the past, courts have upheld the right of colleges to mandate vaccines. The schools say they just want to protect students and staff. In a recent survey, students seem to prefer vaccination over practicing social distancing. And there remains the concern that some students will make fake vaccination cards in order to go back to school.
A vaccination site in the Bay Area was forced to turn away people over the weekend. San Francisco started offering COVID vaccine doses for everyone 16 and older just a couple days before the rest of California. Early vaccine eligibility was opened for 8 priority zip codes of underserved communities. Thousands of people showed up early to get in a long line at the Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Luke John Day says 6,000 people showed up before 9 a.m. The vaccination site only gets 2,000 doses per day, forcing staff to turn away people. Hospital officials urge residents to return any day over the next several weeks from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Arriving early is encouraged in order to guarantee a vaccine.
COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations in the U.S. are rising again. Michigan is in the middle of a surge. The B.1.1.7 variant is spreading rapidly there. It tends to target people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s with more severe symptoms.
Michigan was the first to heed the Biden administration's call to drop all of the priority groups and make it accessible for everyone. Right now, if you are 16 and up in Michigan, you can get vaccinated. You're eligible.
It takes about 2 weeks after the Pfizer and Moderna second doses to get immunity. It also takes about 2 weeks after the Johnson & Johnson vaccine before immune sets in. Dr. Celine Gounder says the incubation period, which is the time from where you're exposed to when you're infected with coronavirus, is 4 to 5 days. Gounder says the best way to control the surge is to mask up, stop dining, and socializing outside.
In the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, the family of George Floyd says the defense is trying to raise doubts about Floyd.
They're going to talk about him as a person having opioid addiction. They're going to try to use that as the basis to say that's why he died.
Chauvin's attorney Eric Nelson played body cam video and asked witnesses if they could hear Floyd say, "I ate too many drugs." Nelson also asked paramedics why they did a load and go, which was putting Floyd in the ambulance and driving a few blocks away before beginning treatment.
A Minnesota police officer fatally shot a 20-year-old African-American man during a traffic stop last weekend. Police say the shooting was an accident. An officer mistakenly pulled out his handgun instead of his taser. The shooting happened in the suburban neighborhood of Brooklyn Center. When Daunte Wright was killed, people took to the streets in protest. After reports that protesters were throwing rocks at the Brooklyn Park Police Building, more than 500 National Guard troops were called in.
Tomorrow, what you will see is a greater law enforcement presence, a greater National Guard presence as we move into phase 3.
The killing happened about 10 miles away from where former police officer Derek Chauvin is on trial in the killing of George Floyd. The National Guard already planned to increase its numbers as closing arguments approached in the Chauvin trial. Now, with protests over the death of Daunte Wright, the Guard will increase personnel sooner than expected. The body cam footage in Wright's shooting was recently released. It's graphic. The name of the officer involved wasn't released, but the officer is on administrative leave pending an investigation.
A newly organized group called White Lives Matter held a rally in Huntington Beach. There was chaos as counter-protesters from the Black Lives Matter movement arrived. Valley View's Andrea Esparza was there as fights broke out and arrests were made.
It's for everybody! Tensions ran high at Huntington Beach Pier. White Lives Matter protesters gathered to demonstrate against what they believe is the end of white culture. But they were met by counter-protesters from the Black Lives Matter movement.
Brown people are dying, black people are dying, Asian people are dying. This cannot continue. This has to stop.
White Lives Matter protesters say they're using their First Amendment right to protect what they consider American culture. They think racism should be a thing of the past, claiming America's fate is predetermined by a higher power.
Created you black and me white. This is already predetermined. So if you want to get caught in the bogs of racism, and we can argue endlessly on that, and we'll never get anywhere.
White culture to me is putting up your hands and fighting. Acting like a little bitch.
Protests quickly grew heated when fights broke out. 2 White Lives Matter demonstrators were arrested, and Huntington Beach resident Shalisa Williams believes the White Lives Matter movement is a product of fear because people of color are finally being heard.
Are you upset because your privilege is not working anymore today? Are you mad because now your violence is being silenced and we're not letting it go on any further?
White Lives Matter protesters say they're going to continue to protest all throughout the country until they feel like their voices are being heard just as much as Black Lives Matter protesters. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Andrea Esparza.
There were several hundred White Lives Matter protesters and counter-protesters at the rally. White supremacist groups were there, including the Loyal White Knights faction of the Ku Klux Klan. There were fights between protesters waving Trump flags and some people in all-black clothing. The entire rally was quickly declared an unlawful assembly by police and numerous arrests were made.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is defending President Biden's broad definition of infrastructure jobs in his American Jobs Plan. Biden says his $2 trillion plan will improve the nation's neglected infrastructure. It already faces opposition from Republicans who think it costs too much.
The sooner the better, I think, is the bottom line. We've got to get this done. We're going to take on board a lot of ideas. We're going to negotiate, but we can't just sit here and let the clock run out, because the American people can't wait.
The administration wants to move quickly. Experts say not taking action isn't a good option. Spending on infrastructure is expected to boost the economy.
The group Nutritious Life started meal distribution sites to help kids and teens to get healthy meals while they stay at home during the pandemic. Our reporter, Ava Lang, has more on the organization.
COVID-19 school closures made it difficult for parents to feed their kids. A lot of children normally get balanced meals at school. So, Nutritious Life started meal distribution sites in Los Angeles for kids and teens to continue to get healthy meals.
We kind of fill the gap during the times that school is out. So Nutritious Life is a summer sponsor through the California Department of Education.
Nationwide, nearly 20 million low-income students rely on school meals for nutrition. For some, the school meal is their most nutritious meal of the day.
We usually serve breakfast and lunch, so it's a full meal. The kids get fruits, they get protein, they get grains, the veggies and the milk, everything.
Since the pandemic hit in March last year, Nutritious Life has fed more than 2.5 million kids. Families can pick up free meals for children under 18. Information for pickup hours and location is found at nutritiouslife.org.
Some parents are out of jobs. They weren't able to pay their rent. But at least, I know that we were able to at least keep food on the table for the kids.
Nutritious Life is accepting applications to become meal distribution sites for churches, schools, and organizations. Reporting in Los Angeles, I'm Ava Lang.
More to come on Valley View News. The Good Karma has fed more than 13,000 people on Skid Row in the past 36 weeks. And movie theaters are now reopening as coronavirus numbers decline. Stay with us. The 27th Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards aired an historic 1-hour pre-recorded show last Sunday night. The online program honored some of the year's greatest performances in film and television. Award winners like Jason Bateman took time to thank all the healthcare workers and scientists around the globe for what they are doing during the pandemic.
The biggest thank yous go to the healthcare workers that have tended to us all during this last year, and the miracle work from scientists that have given us the vaccines.
This was the first SAG Awards that had people of color win all 4 of the top screen acting categories. Also, 160,000 Guild members had a special honor for the late Chadwick Boseman. He won the Best Actor award for his work in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Schitt's Creek and The Crown also won several awards.
Multi-platinum rapper DMX is hospitalized after suffering a heart attack. His lawyer says he's in grave condition.
And that he was being treated accordingly. That he may have had a traumatic brain damage as a result of the attack.
The rapper is being treated at a hospital in White Plains, New York. His publicist said he's on life support. Before the incident, DMX was on tour and in the middle of making a movie.
Godzilla vs. Kong set a box office record during the pandemic. In its first 5 days, the movie made $48.5 million. This surpassed the industry's expectations. It also showed that people are now ready to return to movie theaters. The film played at more than 3,000 theaters across North America. It's the largest screening since the pandemic started. Godzilla vs. Kong hasn't only generated money through theaters, but can also be found on HBO Max.
The pandemic closed many dance studios across California. But Valley View News reporter Kimberly Garcia spoke with one dance instructor who turned to Zoom as a way to teach her students.
For some people, Zoom became an income generator during the pandemic. Dancer Stephanie Pacheco uses Zoom to teach her passion, hip-hop.
That's it. Good.
Stephanie's students are from all over. She even teaches classes to kids in London. The pandemic crisis led to students across the pond learning hip-hop from an American dancer.
In London, hip-hop is very rare. A lot of people don't dance it. So when there's a hip-hop class, everyone wants to join and everyone wants to take it.
Every Friday, hip-hop music fills Stephanie's living room. The pandemic gave her students the unique opportunity to learn dance in the comfort of their homes, but it also comes with challenges.
Keep pushing yourself, yeah? If you're like, maybe I could do more energy.
Limited space was a challenge for Stephanie. However, a Montebello father, Fernando Barajas, was able to convert an extra room in their home into a dance studio to accommodate to his 12-year-old daughter, Liliana's needs.
Nobody goes back there, so might as well just turn it into something that she likes. So, of course, we couldn't actually say no. When we actually did this, she was very happy.
Liliana thinks she has improved her dancing skills through weekly Zoom sessions. Just 2 weeks ago, she competed in her first dance competition of the season.
While on Zoom, I like it just because I don't get as much nervous because I get to be like, okay, I'm alone, like I could dance more freely.
Due to dance studio closures, the pandemic has turned homes into a place where coaches teach and students learn. Reporting for Valley View News in Montebello, I'm Kimberly Garcia.
Stanford won the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship game against Arizona by a score of 54-53. It's Stanford's first national championship since 1992. Stanford's coach Tara Vanderveer says her team was fortunate to win the championship because of all of the close wins they had leading up to the big game.
But this team won, and I'm so proud of them for, we might call it the COVID championship, and it might have an asterisk, but it was tougher. It was tougher being down here.
Vanderveer has now won 3 championships as Stanford's coach.
Golden State Warriors guard Steph Curry wore custom shoes in Sunday's game against the Atlanta Hawks. The sneakers are meant to show support to the Asian community. Curry partnered with the Bruce Lee Foundation to design the shoes. The design includes an inspirational quote from Lee saying, "Under the heavens, there is but one family." Curry says he will auction off his shoes. All the proceeds will be donated to help Asian families who've been affected by recent tragedies.
The pandemic has distressed many self-employed business owners. Our reporter, Dalen Gray, spoke with a nail technician who faced many challenges during the pandemic to stay in business.
Despite the pandemic, in Hawthorne, California, nails are still being done. The crisis posed a challenge for beauty parlor nail tech Nicole Manuel, but Manuel says the pandemic actually helped her business.
It allowed for me to sit down and kind of think of different ways of marketing strategies, also doing stuff on my own to show my talent.
With her enhanced marketing skills, Manuel was able to gain and keep new clients like Carlton Thompson.
Seeing the groundwork of her business, and we continuously talk about when I'm in the same place with her that we'll work together. And this is almost kind of like, it's almost like fate. Oh, I see.
The pandemic gave Manuel a chance to get new clients. It also allowed her to build up her brand further.
I just saw it as, being in that mode of just building up a name, a reputation, an Instagram, being able to keep up with all the trends. There are so many trends.
With Nicole continuing to expand her craft during the pandemic, she continues to service clients. This is Dalen Grace reporting to you.
Food Network star Bobby Flay launched a new cat food brand, Made by Nacho. It's inspired by his own Maine Coon cat named Nacho. Flay collaborated with pet nutritionists and veterinarians. The celebrity chef came up with a recipe which has a well-balanced mix of ingredients that put quality protein sources first. The food is now available on madebynacho.com and will be available at PetSmart stores starting April 19th. That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Savannah Birchfield.
And I'm Lisette Ceja. For stories any time of day, go to our website sundial.csun.edu. Thanks for watching.